Well, you would be forgiven for thinking our next story is something out of science fiction rather than a daily news show, but it could be a breakthrough in the future of travel as we know it. Take a look at this. This is a flying car taking off for the first time ever in an urban environment. Alef Aeronautics is a company working to pioneer the flying road vehicles. It says the test was successful with no safety issues reported. Alef says the test took place on a closed-off city road in an area where there are no bystanders. Well, the car was also flown over a truck. As you can see here, Alef is likening the test to the Wright brothers' famous first flight. Well, joining me now is Jim Dukhovny, the CEO of Alef Aeronautics. Good to have you with us. This is certainly remarkable news. I'm so intrigued. You have carried out the first successful test flight. Congratulations. How does your flying car work?
Thank you, Linda. So the flying car works as the car and as an aircraft. You take the car, you pretty much take the engine up front, you put 4 smaller engines in 4 wheels. In this space which is left, you put what is called DEP, distributed electric propulsion, which is 8 propeller, speed controller, motor, battery systems, which are independent. On top of the car, you make a mesh, something which allows the air to come through. That allows to the vertical takeoff. Also, size of the car served as the wings, as they're in the shape an airfoil. That allows for the efficient fly forward.
And so, obviously, like so many of us recall seeing flying cars in Back to the Future. I just want to play a little bit of vision from that film. So is this our future? How soon will people be flying your cars?
The funny coincidence is that car which you just showed flown into the October of 2015. About October of 2015 is when myself, Oleg, Konstantin, and Paul actually started Alef Aeronautics.
Wow, that is remarkable.
It's just a coincidence.
You really are the future. So I understand you've already got over 3,000 pre-orders for this car. And obviously we saw that successful test flight. This is an ultralight vehicle. How does it go? How does it handle strong winds? What sort of anti-collision technology is built in the car?
Yes, so the first part of the question is wind. So remember I said it's a distributed electric propulsion, which means some propellers spin faster and some slower. So that in milliseconds stabilizes your flight. There's also like elevons and other systems which help to stabilize during the wind. It has a lot of safety. So innovation is not only it's a new type of aircraft. Innovation is also in safety, in redundancy within the systems and between the systems. In a full ballistic parachute, because it's so light, it can have actually the parachute which just deploys even at low altitudes and high altitudes. So there's innovation in aircraft safety in addition to the innovation in aircraft itself. So theoretically and on paper and probability-wise and in practice, as we tested it for 10 years, it is actually the next level of safety of the aircraft.
Wow. And of course, it was the first vehicle of its kind to obtain this special airworthiness certificate from the FAA. What does that mean exactly?
Sure. So just to point out, it's a previous version of Model Zero. The one you showed is Model Zero Ultralight. There was a previous version called Model Zero that received the FAA airworthiness certification. That means we can test for R&D, we can fly for research and development, and we could also fly for exhibition, something we were doing. That limits what you can do with this, and it limits where you can do with this. But the significance of it again was the first time the car was actually given permission to vertically take off and fly.
So the price tag right now is $300,000 for the world's first true flying car. You've got over 3,000 pre-orders. How soon will people actually be flying this car? What are the next stages?
Sure. So the sentence which I usually say, and people just hear very last word of the sentences, goes like this. If everything goes right, we plan to start production of the first one by the end of 25, beginning of 26. Right now we're on scale, but you have to read the whole sentence with all the asterisks which comes before the last date because we don't want to overpromise. But so far, that's definitely on target.
And so what are the safety tests that are going to be needed?
Sure. So this particular version, which you see, is an ultralight, so which means it has limited range. There are a lot of, like I mentioned, we've been doing it for 10 years, so there's a lot of safety tests going on, and with next systems and everything. The long term, it will need the full FAA type certification here in the United States and other types of certification outside the United States. We actually plan to deploy first outside the United States. Because there's like legal infrastructure which allows us literally to fly this today commercially, and then work through the way of the full range without any limitations in the United States also.
So who wants to buy this? Who's the target customer, and how will they benefit from a flying car?
So as you correctly mentioned, the early adopters have to be high net worth individuals because the price of the car is big. And this is because it costs us a lot to produce 1, 2, 3 cars. And we also right now not efficient in producing this. Once we get mass production, once we get factory efficient, once we get better at this, the price should drop eventually. Again, it's not going to be in 2, 3, or 4 years, but eventually the price of this car should drop below Ford Focus or Toyota Corolla because it is less complex. But to get there, we need volume and we need optimization of the manufacturing.
And just quickly, how soon will you be able to test this car with a passenger in the car?
So there is a pilot. When we call pilot and a passenger, it's a kind of like a different terminology. But from, you mean if we take a CNN anchor and we actually put you in the car? And
Yeah, I'll volunteer.
This is pretty. So the reason we actually didn't allow anybody yet, and it was just our people in that video, because we're still a startup, so we still protect intellectual property. If we can figure out how to put you in a car and at the same time protect intellectual property, it can be next week.
Your secrets are safe with me. Jim Dukhovny, good to have you with us, CEO of Alef Aeronautics. Amazing invention and technology. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lynda. Thank you.
Well, still to come, Real Madrid clashing with Manchester City for a spot in the Champions League round of 16. We are going to bring you the highlights next.